So I would say easily, hands down, the best experience that my family and I have ever had at Riviera Maya was at this resort, the Iberostar, specifically the Iberostar Paraiso Lindo. I know there are different subsets of the Iberostar family here, but the Lindo is the one we specifically stayed at, which is in the dead center of it. I think there's a Maya and there was another one there, and there are different tiers of it. I think ours is like a middle grade tier. Hands down, I have so few things that I would change about this resort. It offered so much for us and the kids and the family and whatnot. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better resort to satisfy all your requirements. I remember the first day we arrived, and the check-in process took a little bit longer than usual, but they were very accommodating about that, and they apologized, and they got us all sorted out. I think our flight landed a little bit earlier, so it wasn't their fault. Nevertheless, they set us up immediately outside. They got the kids' drinks, they got the adults' drinks. And then when everything was said and done, they came and found us. They said, listen, we got a room for you. We upgraded you because of your the inconvenience, which we weren't even upset. I mean, it was what it was, and we're on vacation, so we're not going to give anyone a hard time. But they said, nevertheless, you and your wife will have one room, and then the room right next to us will be for the kids. And we did not expect that. I mean, that was such a huge bonus. They didn't charge us for it. They didn't try to upsell us anything. They just said, listen, this is what it is, and we want you guys to have a great time. So we thought right after the start, I mean, this is a home run. The campus itself, and I know I've gotten feedback from other people on the videos I've posted for other vacations that we've been on. The campus itself was probably the most well thought out campus I've ever been on, and this kind of harks back to what some other people have commented on about staying in an all-inclusive resort. Typically you start feeling like you're caged in, and it gets very boring somewhat fast. As good as the food might be, or the booze and the entertainment, you're staying somewhere for 5 days, 10 days. After a while, you've kind of seen it all and you've done it all. This resort was so complex, for that matter, and I mean that in a good way. There were just tons of little like nooks and crannies. It was almost set up in a way where there were like different neighborhoods on this resort. And even if you didn't feel like swimming or feel like going to the beach, or you were full and you didn't, whatever, there were so many different places where you could just walk around, and there were pathways and different types of, foliage, tons of like animals and whatnot to see on the resort. That was something that just kept everything really fresh. Sometimes you go to a resort and there's only one way to get somewhere and one way back, and you pass through this one way 100 times a day. You start feeling like a little caged in, and this resort was very different in that sense, and we love that. It was especially great when our kids were a lot younger at the time, so just kind of keeping everything fresh and entertaining for them. That was super, super important for my wife and I. Once we got familiar with the resort and whatnot, we got to the pools. Pools. This place has so many pools to offer, which is so cool. The pools they're all pretty much relatively shallow, fun enough for an adult, but deep enough where a kid can have fun and not get hurt. And then they have pools that are long and they kind of wave around. You have all different like fountains and whatnot for the kids to get involved in and splash and so on and so forth. Then you have other parts where there's different little hoses and they can kind of manipulate the water and whatnot. Different caves or rocks for that matter, you can kind of crawl up and jump off of and whatnot. Lifeguards were everywhere. There was all parents and stuff that were there as well. But tons of seating all around the pools as well. I didn't see anyone have any kind of problems or frustrations with trying to get adequate seating. Videos on other resorts that we've stayed at in the past, this actually has been a problem in some places, and I've actually seen some of the patrons start arguing, and the staff had to get involved to make sure no one got physical here. Going back to it on this side, then there's a different pool here, was the wave pool. And in the wave pool, every couple of, I think it was every half hour, every 45 minutes, this water would start to get somewhat choppy and whatnot. As you got into the dark blue spot over here, it got really, really deep. So I think it went down to like 10 feet or 8 feet or so. I'm 6'4", and I was easily able to submerge my entire body into it and kind of swim down a bit. So I want to tell you, it's almost closer to 10 foot mark. But as you went up towards the shallow part, as you can see, the kids were able to kind of walk around, and they knew their limits and whatnot. So it made it that much more pleasurable for my wife and I to sort of enjoy. One of the other appealing parts of this area with regards to pools was the lazy river. Probably not the greatest lazy river I've ever been to, but it was really, really fun. Somewhat on the crowded side, meaning that the passageways were narrow. I would never fault a resort because there were too many people in Lazy River. We've gone to other lazy rivers in the past that were way better than this one, but we still had a great time. Being that it was narrow, after a while, it started getting congestion, and it didn't seem like the water had enough kind of oomph to get everyone going. So every now and then you'd have to kind of jump off your little inflatable tube and kind of propel yourself, whatever. But I mean, that's not a make or break scenario. So coming back to that, once we're done with Lazy River and you're hanging out in there are other pools here. There's one called the cave pool, and inside you can see we're inside this like faux cave, but it looked really real, and then it had waterfalls that kind of dipped off of the rock facade. Really loud and echoey, but it was so relaxing, if you want to say that. You had the sun that kind of beamed in, and you had the echo of everything and the water smashing down on everything, but it was just so relaxing and so much fun. And you had bubbles in the pool and whatnot. I guess you'd call this more of a jacuzzi kind of whirlpool kind of thing here. But being that the sun beat down on it, the water was super, super hot, and you can kind of just relax and listen to the echo of everything. Really, really nice pool, really nice effect. The moral of the story is every time you go into one pool and you hung out there, and after a while you kind of seen and done it all, you had another pool to go to. So if you wanted to go to the wave pool, you wanted to go to the big windy pool, or you wanted to go to the cave pool. In here, if you notice, you're going backwards, that's also like this shallow, almost like a ravine kind of thing where you could just kind of walk down. That water is maybe 2 feet at most. So if you felt inclined to do so, you could just kind of walk around and from your knees down, you'd be in the water. But there's so many different opportunities to explore the land here. And it was very tough to get that caved in kind of feeling, no pun intended. There are many times we've been to resorts, and after day 5, day 6, you kind of look at each other and go, well, we've been there and we've done that. We ate all the food we want to eat, and we drank all the food we want to drink. There's really not much for us to do here. It's time to head home. This resort was the first time that my wife and I said, as we were departing, we're not ready to leave yet. If you gave me the opportunity to stay another couple of days, we take you up on the opportunity here. Part of the reason why we loved it was this: the swim-up bars. The swim-up bars were really, really cool. Again, like a cave-like structure here, but they were sporadically, placed all around the resort, and it was kind of tough to go anywhere and say, hey, where do I get a drink? Everywhere you went, there was a place to get a drink. And kids were allowed to go up to the swim bar too, and they would make them, virgin cocktails and whatnot. And it was fun for the kids because the water would drip down on them and whatnot, and you go underneath, and it had seating that was in the water itself. So you never had to ever leave the pool. You could literally stay in the pool all day long if you wanted to. And especially for a kid, that was really, really neat. Sometimes they'd have ice cream and different treats that they give you there and whatnot. Super nice. And if you ever get tired of the pool and we're done with it and you want to dry off a little bit, again, on the topic of having places to go and whatnot, they had all these little bridges and pathways that would lead you to the beach. And it wasn't like 1 or 2 different pathways. There were half a dozen of them, and nothing was like straight and forward. They would kind of wind around, and they take you through like this little forest kind of thing. And every now and then you see these like little animals and so on and so forth, and birds, or peacocks and lizards and all sorts of things like that. So you had the opportunity to just kind of dry off, and it gave you the ability to just kind of like walk around a lot. That's something else that when you go to the resorts, look, face it, we're eating a lot, we're drinking a lot. You need that opportunity to stretch your legs a bit and kind of burn it off a bit so you're ready for your next overindulgence of food and booze and dessert, for that matter. This resort allowed you to do that. So going to the beach here, we like the beach. We're big beach people. As you can see, this was not like an off-season thing. This was right in the summer. And there was adequate seating for everything. This might have been a slow day because there was some overcast here, but there's tons and tons of spots here to sit. Everything is super, super clean. And the really nice part about it is if you did get hungry, if you did get thirsty, or you wanted a drink, right on the beach itself, there was a constant supply of fresh foods, little snacks, finger foods, things of that nature. And it ranged from different types of fruits and different types of ice creams. Everything was self-served. They had an ice cream machine. Ice cream machines are pretty popular that were over there. You popped your head in here and you had all sorts of fresh juices and whatnot. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but when it's 100 degrees outside and you're thirsty, fresh juices and all these different sweet little fruits and whatnot to eat. Oh my God, they're so good. And then the kids can kind of come over here. You can see it was pretty popular with the kids. They had all sorts of buffalo wings and French fries and things of that nature, condiments and whatnot. Very, very clean. There's always someone there refreshing the food. It wasn't like food that was sat out there for 2-3 hours. If it wasn't there, you know, someone was there to take it away and just put another fresh supply down. And then as you went around, there were all different places to get cocktails, and if you want to have shots and whatnot, they'd have people coming out there offering people, hey, we're doing rum, we're doing tequila, we're doing this, we're doing that. And as you can see, tons of family. I mean, family was just kind of hanging out there, and you had areas where people kind of flock to and the kids would play and make little sandcastles and whatnot. And then you had all, you know, adults that would just kind of drift off and do their own thing. The most important thing is that the water was clean, the sand was constantly groomed and cleaned, all the little cabanas and little bungalow areas there were always clean and ready for use, and that was really nice. Speaking of food and booze, booze. Booze, there's no shortage of booze on this resort. I love tequila. Tequila was flowing everywhere around here, and it was just really, really nice. Maybe a little too nice sometimes, but it was great. The food here, there was a constant variety of different foods. As you can see, my kids at the time were pretty young here, and you know, my oldest one's a bit of a picky eater. So coming here and finding something for her to eat was not a problem ever. We did primarily stay at a lot of the buffet area here, but we did indulge in some of the restaurants they had there, and each restaurant would have a different theme. We did a hibachi night one time. There was a Mexican restaurant that was there. We did a steakhouse one night. The food was good. Okay, it's probably the only thing I'm not going to give 4 stars to was the food. I'm not giving it 1 star, hardly. The food was good. It was better than fair. It was not unbelievable. However, regardless of that, I mean, the variety alone, we just felt like everything started tasting the same after a while. I don't know if that makes sense. Regardless of whatever you ate, either it was just kind of bland or just, I don't know. And I feel guilty even saying that because I just love this resort so much. But the truth is the truth. Nothing was bad. We never got sick. Nothing was ever dirty or ill, you know, not properly cooked. Nothing of that sort. But food was just probably the only thing here that wasn't like the strong point. What they made up for it, though, was the booze. It just seemed like every time we had a drink, it wasn't like a typical resort drink where it was somewhat diluted or watered down. No, I mean, it was like having a drink at home. You know, it was like quality booze. What was really, really cool, though, is as you did eat, there was always entertainment. You had these mariachi bands that would constantly come out, play different songs for everyone, and kind of greet the guests and so on and so forth. As much as my wife and I enjoyed it, the kids got a huge kick out of it. From time to time, they come out with little mariachi figurines and hand them out to the kids, and they can keep them as, you know, little tokens as souvenirs and whatnot. That was always a big deal. It made you really look forward to dinner. Every night seemed to be a bit of an adventure. They have people like, this was a hibachi night, and we had guys coming out there making all sorts of different animals out of the rice and you know, throwing food across the table to put it in the kid's mouth and whatnot. It was just a blast all around. Really, really a lot of fun. Outside of you're in the resort, but outside of that main area, there's like this, you know, kind of going back to what I said before, it's like little neighborhoods. They had these like little stores, you'd kind of say, or little shops for that matter. And here was a dessert shop, and you'd walk in there. They'd serve coffee, tea, hot chocolate, chocolate milk, things of that nature. And then they had all sorts of fresh pastries and little finger foods and whatnot. You know, you can kind of just grab and run with you. Again, it's all included. It's all part of their package and whatnot. And then as you walked around, they had all sorts of things for the kids. They had a carousel. I wasn't kidding. This campus is huge. And it was like an outdoor flea market strip mall kind of thing that was there. And they had all sorts of places to get different shirts and you know, little keepsakes that you wanted to bring home with you if you felt inclined to do that. And it was really, really nice. It was a nice way to kind of wind down the night. Just, you know, I'm sure you had those nights where it's, you know, it's getting late and you can't go in the pool because the pool's closed now at this point. But you don't want to go to bed. You don't want to go to sleep. So you had all these different places. You want to get cigar. You want to buy booze really, really cheap here. You want to, get little, tchotchkes, whatever you want. But the main thing that I love the most about this at nighttime was that there was almost this emphasis of this very bohemian kind of artsy vibe at nighttime. You had all these little places where you can kind of just chill out and sit down and enjoy whatever you were working on, whether it be cake or another ice cream or any kind of treat for that matter. And you sat by the water and it was just super chill, super relaxed. There's a guy in the back playing saxophone. The guy just showed up out of nowhere, starts playing for guests. And then if you notice that the population shifted to another part, he just casually walk over there and start playing for them. Not asking for anything, it's just kind of setting the vibe, setting the mood. I mean, look at that. Imagine just sitting there looking at that fountain there and just kind of hanging out. I don't know what's better than that. To me, that was just bliss, One of the other things that was kind of neat was we had vendor night. So vendor night, or vendor nights for that matter, you'd walk by and it'd just be all sorts of vendors that came in from the outside and kind of hawking their wares. And, for a negotiable price, everything's negotiable here. Everything was always how much do you have on you or how much do you want to spend, that kind of thing. But it's all handmade stuff and really, really vibrant, really, really colorful, all kind of handmade. Here's a whole bunch of lamps and whatnot that were made for the kids and Disney figure. Right away, my daughter saw, I think it was Belle or Jasmine, whoever it is, all the Disney characters and whatnot, and had all sorts of superhero stuff, tons of superhero stuff. Skulls were huge, a lot of bone stuff. There were carved bones and whatnot. Matter of fact, that Superman figurine right back there, I bought that figurine. That figurine sitting on my brother's shelf. It was a handmade figurine and it was hand painted, and I just thought it was really, really neat. And he's a big Superman buff. For nighttime, every single night there was a big emphasis on the kids. So here is a night thing where the kids go up there on stage and they did magic with the kids and they did dancing with the kids. And if they weren't doing dancing stuff for the kids, they were doing stuff for the adults. This was a Vegas night thing. And they had all sorts of, game shows and things that the adults can get involved in. Some of it was family safe. Some of it was just strictly adult safe, where maybe, lewd, conduct or vulgar language. But, it was for the adults, so it's cool. Speaking of entertainment for the night, you had Galaxy Club. Was really, really cool. It's sort of the Star Wars, astronaut kind of theme place, but had black light and again, emphasis on bars. There's tons of bars everywhere you go here. And you can get a drink, and it had a DJ spinning all sorts of either Spanish music or even modern, American music for that matter, club stuff. The club scene's hot here. There were times where kids were allowed, and as the night went on and, your kids were probably not going to be there, it was all adults, and people get dressed up, and, they had dance contests and all sorts of things like that. Super nice. I don't recall ever going to a resort where the club was this much fun. And there are multiple levels, too. You can go upstairs and it had like a faux kind of VIP lounge area thing, which I got a kick out of. And it had people going around, interviewing everyone and, taking requests. Is there anything you want to listen to? I mean, super cool. If you look in the back, there are always, lounges that you can just kind of chill out and sit on the couch and just kind of do your own thing. If you didn't feel like getting on the dance floor, but you just wanted to, be entertained by the nightlife, well, you had that opportunity to do that. In this case, it was somewhat early, probably 9 o'clock in the evening. So tons of parents were bringing their kids out there, and the kids are kind of burning off the last of the ice cream that they had. And, it was just a complete package from head to toe. If you start from the beginning, between the pools and just the miles of walking around that you were able to do, and the beach and just all the entertainment that you could, that was provided to you, all sorts of wildlife that was out here, and there was always something to do. We were never ever bored. That's my main emphasis on this resort and this video for that matter. Other than the food, which I can't give 4 stars to, I'll give it 3 stars. I give everything else here 4 stars. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And as a matter of fact, I literally was just talking to my wife today about working on this project, and I said, it's inspired me. I really think I want to go back to this resort at the end of, beginning of the summer this year. This might be our family vacation again. So we'll see. I'm going to sign off at this point with a final video that I had made back when we were out here, and I kind of had the foresight, I suppose, of making this, and it's my goodbye to myself for leaving. So if you have any questions, let me know, and you know, if anything has changed in the resort, let me know as well. I'm curious if it's gotten better or worse, and thanks for watching. Last night here, kids are shot, Jen and I are shot. Those aren't complaints, though. They're I guess it's a trophy for all the good food, the drink, the miles of swimming, the endless walks up and down the beach. I mean, really, really great stuff. And we all did it as a family, which is really, really cool. Vin and the girls are getting ice cream right now. Jen's getting ready. I gotta get ready soon. We're gonna go out for a final dinner tonight. We're going to a hibachi joint, which I'm excited about because the kids have never had hibachi. And usually it's pretty entertaining. I've heard some good stuff about this restaurant. So it's gonna be pretty cool. For now, just chilling out, enjoying our Dos Equis, and that's basically that. I'm gonna miss it here.